Hi, my name is Brian, and I'm the High Pop Professor. And today, I have a story to tell you about the hobby community. This is going to be part 2. And really, it's just kind of amazing the way that things work out and how amazing this community really and truly is. And so this is a story of something that happened with me and my collecting journey just about a week ago, a little over that, about 8 days ago. I posted a video that was a VR to another member of the hobby community, Darren, from Return to Collecting. And in Darren's challenge to us in his VR, he wanted us to go ahead and post and talk about a 12-month goal card for us. And in my case, I actually listed 2 of them. My first card was the 97 Finest Gold Embossed Refractor for Greg Maddox. And a secondary card that I had listed out there was the 97 EX2000 Essential Credentials, Greg Maddox. Both of these are gigantic cards. Both of these are very rare cards. They don't come up for sale very often. And I already had been looking, actually sort of all of last year, I was looking for this 97, it was the Hurlers, this gold embossed refractor. Some call it the die cut refractor because it's got the little deckled edge on there. And it was the biggie I was looking for. And I didn't really see it much at all last year and haven't seen it the first half of this year, just haven't. And so I named those 2 specifically, and of course I also called out 3 channels that was the other part of that as well. And I went ahead and posted it. And these were really the cards I was looking for at the National when I went, and I wasn't really surprised to not see them, because, you know, that's the big thing. It was tough. It was great to go to the YouTuber meetup and see everyone and their pickups, but at the same time, it's quite a bit different if your goal is to pick up a 1953 Topps mantle. Like, how many of those cards are in that room at the National, right? Like, it's a big card, it's a huge card, and to find the one that you want in the grade that you want for the price that you want, it's not easy to do. So I'm not trying to downplay that, but the fact is that, you know, how many, you know, were there a dozen, 2 dozen of those 53 Topps mantles in that room? Perhaps. For these cards I'm looking for, they did not exist in that room. And I still have standards as far as, like, I don't want there to be a ding in the corner. I'd like it to not be so severely hulked out that it's going to be distracting for me. But they're also, not only are they really, really hard to find, but they're super expensive. And so coming away from the National, you know, I didn't really spend much money. In fact, I sold way more than I purchased in anticipation of maybe encountering these cards. And so I post this video. And I don't really expect, well, I'm just sharing my journey, my collecting journey here. I've sort of been on the hunt for these things, like I said, about a year and a half here. Haven't really seen them come up much. When they do, they either sell immediately right away for you know, a ton, or I miss them because someone buys it now and just snaps it up like an hour after it's posted and I didn't even see it listed there. So what ends up happening here is and I'm going to go back to the National for a minute. Of course, I went there with my brother Iconic Al. We walked the show together. We were there Thursday and Friday, and toward the end of the day, Friday, as we're walking around, we stumbled upon Bill, the Hall of Fame collector, who's also a gigantic Maddox guy as well. He's got an amazing channel, amazing collection. He's probably got the most nuts collection of Maddox cards. If you haven't checked out his channel yet, please go do that. Because yeah, his collection is incredible. It doesn't even come close to describing it. And I was talking with him a little bit, and he wasn't even planning on going to the National because I'm paraphrasing him here. He said, "Well, there's really just not much here for me when it comes to a lot of this rare 90s stuff. You don't see it even at the National." And of course, he's right. You don't. And so, you know, just sort of lamenting this. And it was funny because it was as I was preparing this VR for Darren, Return to Collecting, I was searching for pictures of these cards because I couldn't even find good pictures of them. That's how rare they are. I was like trying to do like Google searches and looking for eBay, you know, completed listings, and I couldn't even find one for, you know, essential credentials, and so I contacted him, and I credited him for the picture. Said, "Hey, you know, could you send me a picture of your version of this, your copy of this card, because I can't find a good one. You know, I'd like to be able to display it for my video." And he sends me one, of course, and I credit him for the video. And then it was later that day, or maybe it was the very day after, that he messages me and says, hey, one of these just came up for sale on Facebook. Did you see this? And he reaches out to me. I'm like, what? Really? Seriously? And what's funny about this too is that I've only just recently, I've been doing the whole eBay thing for years and years, but I haven't really branched out much into, I've done, nothing with Instagram, nothing with Twitter or X. I've done nothing with really, I have a Facebook account, but I just hadn't really used it in the context of the hobby, at least yet. But I had started to sort of lurk a little bit, and I had joined a few groups, and there's two groups in particular. One is all about rare 90s inserts. That's all it is, but it's all sports. And the other one is for baseball from 1990 to 2004. Also, it's about inserts. And sure enough, and I'd been checking that, like every day, every other day, and I had just missed this one that had just been posted like an hour or two before. And sure enough, there it was, the 97 EX2000 Essential Credentials and a PSA 8. And it was a very reasonable price. And so I just couldn't believe it. It was like a day after I posted this video. I think it was actually the day I posted the video is when this happened. It was just a few hours afterward. And so I reached out to the guy and we made a negotiation and I picked it up. I did. And so this was absolutely incredible. This is a card that I haven't seen come up for sale more than once or twice in the last 18 months. And now it's mine. Now I don't have the card in hand yet. And part of the reason why is because, we're sort of in a transitional phase with our family. We're kind of moving, we're considering moving within the next 6 months here. And it didn't, anyway, the point is it's been sent to my parents' house in Pittsburgh, and so it's there, it's arrived safe and sound there, and so at some point I'll get it in hand. That'll be a future video. But then it gets even crazier, because about 5-6 more days after that, and I'm still just like floating on cloud 9 here about this amazing card that I picked up. And by the way, this card was in a PSA assigned 8, which for EX2000 Essential Credentials cards, they are very condition sensitive. I had sort of assumed that if and when I picked one up, it would probably be like a 6 or a 7, because that's just what happens with these cards. They're thick. They've got the acetate window in there. They're prone to scratching. The edges get chipped up all the time. The corners are usually not that great either. But a PSA 8, I went and looked. I didn't even look at the pop reports or anything before I bought it, but just for the sake of knowing, I went and checked it out. It turns out this PSA 8 is a pop 2 with 1 higher. So that's pretty incredible to me. So not only did I find one that pleased my eye, but I didn't realize just how few of them were quite that highly graded. So just just completely over the moon about this one. But anyway, getting back to the tale here. 5-6 days later, Bill, the Hall of Fame collector, once again messages me back and says, hey man, when it rains, it pours. Look what was just posted. And again on Facebook, another thing. There was a guy, I don't keep it somewhat anonymous here, but there was a guy who reached out and made a posting in here and said, hey, is anybody in this group the High Pop Professor? And they called me out by name. And it's like, hey, I got a card I think he wants. And they post the picture of the 97 finest gold embossed refractor. And it's in a stunning BGS 8.5. Which, that's an amazing thing too, because like if it were a 7 because it were crazy hulked out, I may not even want the card. If it were a 10, there's no way I could even afford it, or like a 9.5. And so 8.5, like 8.59, that's like it's like the perfect window for me. And so I reach out to him and we start to message each other back and forth. Well, guy says he actually has 2 of these cards. His other one's a PSA 10, which I would say is unbelievable, except that I know my father, and so that's the way these things kind of work, in the hobby, But we come to an arrangement, we come to an agreement, and the price he's asking is, again, very reasonable. And we come to an agreement and we make the deal. We get it done. And just yesterday, this card has arrived now in Pittsburgh, and I got a message from my father, I got a picture from him, and this thing is incredible. And so now in the span of about a week here, I've had 2 monster pickups that I thought would take me maybe another 18 months to locate. And now I've got to completely revise my plan in a hobby about what I'm gonna do, because I've just spent all the money I've had stockpiled and reserved for these. I've found them, they're here. I mean, not here, but you know, they're in my collection. And now I've got to just reconsider what's my plan now moving forward. What am I gonna do? I mean, well, not, you know, I'm gonna put a stop on buying things for the, you know, next short term here, and focus more, I think, on you know, winnowing down, trimming things, selling some more things off, and just sort of refining my collection. Maybe doing a little bit more in the terms of like, I have a couple orders at PSA right now, doing some more grading cards to sell, and trying to recoup some of those funds for when the next things come that I'm interested in. But again, this whole thing, this whole story would not have happened had it not been for this hobby YouTube community. If Darren from Return to Collecting hadn't put out that VR and I hadn't responded to it, no one would have seen that. If I hadn't reached out and you know, become friends with Bill, the Hall of Fame collector, he wouldn't have, I mean, he may have seen it and, you know, just never reached out to me because we didn't know each other. I very well could have missed those cards. I probably would have missed them because there was action, there was interest on those posts. Other people were inquiring about those cards, and if I hadn't stumbled across it, if I had just missed it by an hour or two, it probably would have been too late. Someone else would have messaged them and snapped those cards up. And so this is just one of those magical things about the hobby, where is it a little just fortuitous, right place at the right time? Is this meant to be? This is just one of those fun things that I'm so grateful to be a member of this card hobby community now, where this kind of amazing thing can happen. It's just, what are the odds of the exact 2 cards I'm looking for coming available like within 1 week of me posting that video? Unbelievable. Anyway, and so I just wanted to share this and just to thank the hobby community in general for being amazing, for being awesome, for having awesome people in them that are knowledgeable, that care, that will reach out when they know that someone they know, hey, has been looking for that card. And it makes me really want to just pay it, you know, pass it forward and continue to do the same kind of thing and help others along their own collecting journeys as well. But really, that's all I wanted to say. Again, I don't have the cards in hand to show. Eventually I will, and I'll make another video, I'll be sure, when that happens. But I've just been floating through this week, this, you know, final week before I return back to school here, and it doesn't even feel real anymore. I feel like someone's got to pinch me and wake me up, because these cards that I thought would, you know, I would never have them in my collection, here they are. These are cards that like 12, 13-year-old me would just be in awe of, for even tracking down and locating, let alone owning them. Anyway, that's all I really had to say. Thank you again for everyone in this hobby for making it an amazing hobby. And thanks for watching.